Join Kyyberi to the 1-month journey to solver world.
Hello and welcome to the special edition of Preflop stuff. A topic for this video today is to just explore preflop ranges, preflop open ranges. Common issue when people start with PLO, they have no idea what hands are good, what to open. Now there's solvers, there's preflop helpers, there's access to solver-based preflop ranges, but the problem is that they cost money. I haven't seen a free solver-based preflop app or content that would be free for all. So if you don't want to invest money, like $50 a month, $100 a month, then how to open hands, how to select your preflop hands. And what I have been teaching for people for a few years is to use poker choose ranges. Poker choose is a software that was the state of the art before the solvers. And the creators of poker choose determined millions of hands and just checked what does people open with. Before that, we used Pro Poker Tools hand rankings. Here's a Pro Poker Tools range explorer. So what we could do here is we could make here, let's say, Queen of Hearts, Jack of Spades, Seven of Hearts, Six of Diamonds, and then it would show that in 600 PLO it would be in the top 38% of the hands. And PPT rankings is based on preflop equity, more or less. What's the equity in multi-way pots? So it slightly overvalues core equity and undervalues playability. So they are not perfect. So what Poker Choose creators did, they determined a lot of hands what people actually play with. So it's the upgraded version of PPT rankings. And that was used for many years. In Poker Juice, there's first in ranges for 12, 15, 20, 25, 30, 40, 50. And then some 3-bet ranges. But then came solvers. And PLO Matrix is very, very innovative software. It uses the grid you have seen in Hold'em, but it uses it in PLO. And before we go further, I'm just going to show you how the PLO matrix works if you haven't seen it. So first, you select the stack sizes. There's 100 BB, you can select 50 BB on the bottom. You have the same boxes up and down. So you can select 2 different BB stacks, but we use 100 BB, and then we would say that raise first in for all the position, and then calling range, like middle position versus UTG open, cutoff versus UTG open. So these are the code calling ranges. And there's this multi-way button squeeze in UTG. So there's UTG open, someone calls between what is our button range that we want to raise there, and so on. But we focus on the first in ranges. Like we can select here cutoff, and then there's upper and lower boxes. Same 2-card combinations. So the thing is that first we select the 2 highest cards in our PLO hand. In the middle there's pocket pairs, and then there's all the Hold'em hands. And the upper ones are double suited, the lower ones are single suited. So it actually doesn't have any rainbow hands in it. But in PLO, we in general, for solver, we don't play rainbow hands that much. Maybe some double paired hands, but I think it's a very clever way to make these grids work that we skip all rainbow hands. So we will have just double suited and single suited. And then let's say we want to know, do we open, well, Queen Jack 7-6, what we have here is top 38%. So according to PPT rankings, it's not open from 30% cutoff range. So Queen Jack 7-6, it's single suited. So we select here Queen Jack. Then we will have another grid. And once again, the grid is divided. There's same combinations on the top, same combination on the bottom. The top ones are, it's single suited, it's good suit, so it's suited to the highest card. And the lower one is that it's suited to not the highest card. So if it's Queen Jack 7-6, it would be here, suited to Queen, and suited to Jack or 7 would be here. So Queen Jack 7-6 is not open according to solver or not according to PPD. So we can check hands, and the colors mean that yellow, now we don't have it because I made it smaller. Yellow is a raise call, purple is a raise fold. But today we just care what do we open. And the idea today is to see how much solver ranges change from poker juice ranges. Like in poker juice, we have first in 30% range, which is around solver wants to open 30% too. So we can come to show hands and put here $FI30. You can import these hands into Odds Oracle. There's instructions on PokerJuice website, so just Google PokerJuice ranges. So now it shows all the hands that we open from the cutoff if we want to open 30% hands. So let's say that before we go further, one important thing about starting hands is that we can see that here, based on the matrix, we open Queen Jack 10-9, 10-7, 10-8, and then 10-3, then deuce, but not 10-6, 10-5, 10-4. So Queen Jack 10-5 is not open, Queen Jack 10-3 is open. I actually don't know why solver doesn't play with linear ranges, but that's one of the hard things if you want to memorize, because it's not linear. PokerJuice ranges are always linear. There's a bottom of the range, and then everything above it is open. And everything we open from previous position is open from later positions too. Solver doesn't work exactly like that. But solver calculates EV of the hand, assuming that it plays perfect post-flop, opponent plays same ranges pre-flop, and perfect post-flop. So it's unexploitable and not exploiting opponent. And it calculates the EV of a hand. And if the hand is after the rate positive, it plays it. So the EV that solver calculates for Queen Jack 10-7 here is almost the same as Queen Jack 10-6. The EV difference, meaning how much we make money in the long run on average, the EV difference is very minimal. So in reality, it doesn't matter if you open Queen Jack 10-6 or if you doesn't open Queen Jack 10-7. So you don't have to remember exactly what to open, what to not. All you need to do is to know and understand whereabouts the thresholds are. Like from the cutoff, single suited Queen Jack, we can see that pretty much Queen Jack 10-7, Queen Jack 9-8 are opens, and then when it goes Queen Jack 10-6 or 9-7, if there's a double cap or triple cap, then it's not open. So as long as there's no double or triple cap after the Queen Jack, it's an open. So all of the hands here in threshold are very close to EV0. And that's the important thing, knowing where the thresholds are. Like with the rundowns, 30% range, connected rundowns, Queen Jack, connected. All this is connected, Queen Jack 8-6, single suited, they are not opens. So you just know where the thresholds are. And if you want to write some notes for yourself, then you should make a notes about where the thresholds are. Okay, here we can see the legend. So now we want to explore how much the solver ranges differ from PokerJuice ranges, because the amount of hands in the range is the same. Solver 30% has as many hands as poker choose 30%. So it's just the content. And we can use the queen jack single suited here as a threshold. So what we're going to do, we see that solver threshold is that it doesn't play queen jack 9-7 suited to queen. So in Otoroco, we want to see hands that are in top 30% of the hands, and then we can say that queen of hearts, jack of diamonds, 7 of hearts, no, it was 9-7, 9 of hearts and 7 of spades. So we can put the exact hand because poker choose has all the possible suit combinations. So the reason why I actually exact hand is that it's easy to see. I see that queen jack 9-7 suited queen is an open on poker choose ranges. On solver, it's not. Okay, then we can start to go down. What about 9-6? That's not. So poker choose threshold is at queen jack 9-7. Solver threshold is queen jack 9-8, but then solver opens queen jack 10-3, which is not in poker choose. But we see that the threshold is only one box away. What about if it's suited to the jack? So 9 of diamonds and 7 of spades. Okay, queen jack 9-7 suited to jack is an open. On solver, it's not. What about 9-6? That's not. What about 8 of diamonds, 7 of spades? No, it's not. So once again, we see that poker choose range is only one box away. So the threshold is almost the same. Then if we let's go back a little and let's see what kind of queens we open from UTG. And let's start with double suited queens. So here we can see the starting grid for double suited queens, and it's almost everything. Let's say we want to open 15%. Double suited queen, 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 queen. We cannot have that. Would be nice. The combinations that are in the black are impossible combinations. So let's say queen, queen, 3 deuce. So in 15%. Let me see if I can find the solver opening frequencies so we can compare those. Just a second. All right. I can show it to you. Here's from Mastermind preflop frequencies, and this is the preflop 18, 22, 30, 47. So it's almost solver opens 18%, which is a bit more than what I often tell people to start with, which is 15%. But poker choose 15%, which is tighter than solver, opens all the double suited queens, even queen, queen, 3 deuce. And solver doesn't. So solver is a bit tighter, but as you can see, it opens queen, queen, 5-3 double suited. So queen, queen, 6-5, queen, queen, 6-4, queen, queen, 10-3. So even if you open all double suited queens, you are not very far away. So it's easy threshold. Double suited queens open from all positions. But it's more important or interesting if we go to the single suited queens. Where is the threshold? And now this gets a bit more complicated, or it looks like. All the colors mean that we raise. The purple one or blue ones are just raise fold. So ace, king, queen, queen, single suited is open but fold if someone three bets. But we can see the threshold that the weird part is that it doesn't open. Oh, it's king, king. That's why. Sorry. That's why it looked weird. Okay, now it looks better. Shadow Maniac. The single suited version is basically the same. Well, it's not the same. I mean, from UTG. Single suited. This is way different than the double suited. I mean, single suited, there were only few bad combinations that is not open. But single suited queens, you can see that all the crappy single suited queens are fold. And yeah, being single suited means that chance to hit the flush or flush draw is only half of what's double suited, so it's the playability issue. And also the chance to hit strong, chance to make your hand. But yeah, single suited is not the same from UTG. Yep. Uh, you can often go quite far in preflop if you just understand how the position affects the situation. You don't have to memorize charts. Common sense takes you far in PLO. If you understand what kind of hands are good for multi-way pots and what kind of hands are good for heads-up pots, it's about components, the nuttiness of components, and so on. I'm not going to give a lecture about that. I definitely could do it. I have a lot of material that I have made for beginner pre-flop teaching, but it's just when we open from UTG, the chance of pot being multi-way is the highest because there's 5 people yet to act. When we open from the button, the chance of being multi-way is lower, and when we open from small blind, it's going to be heads up always. So just the earlier the position is, the more we want to have hands that play well in multi-way pots, which means lots of nut potential and lots of components. But what I'm interested is where is the threshold in PPT. So in PLO matrix, it's pretty much suited to queen. It's here at king 7, 9, 8. So if we put here queen, queen, king 6, and let's make it single suited. Hello, poker matrix. Here we can see that king 6, queen, queen is open on PPT, which should be tighter than solver. And then we can just explore king, king 5 is, what about king deuce? Well, queen, queen, king deuce single suited is open. So we can see that poker choose opens pretty much probably all or most of the single suited queens. What about 8-5? That's not open. 8-7, that is 8-6. Okay, here the threshold is at here, so probably it opens all of these hands. But you can see that odds oracle, or I mean poker choose threshold is not so far away from solver. Whether you open queen, queen, 10, 7 single suited or not, the EV is so close to 0 that it's not a deciding factor on your win rate. And I've done this quite a lot, and I can say that these odds oracle that you can use to explore poker choose ranges is poker choose ranges are so close to solver raise first in ranges that if you don't have access to solver preflop ranges for the raise first in, now this is not, I haven't talked about 3-betting, so it's important. Raise first in, opening ranges. If you don't have access to solver, then you can use poker choose. And the good thing about poker choose ranges is that they are free. You can download the trial of Odds Oracle, and you can export or import the poker choose ranges there, and then you can use these raise $FI50, $FI20, 25, 30, 40, 50. And there's a way, I'm not sure if you have seen, but there's a way to practice starting hands. I will show you. I will upload this video to YouTube, so those who don't know, I will show you. Now this is something that you often have to pay to see, but I'm such a nice guy that I'm going to give it to you free. What we're going to do is, where is our Odds Oracle? We open the Odds Oracle here. And then we use the questions and select how often player 1 match hand range. And let's start with UTG, first in 15. 15. Now it's black, so it works. And now if we put a hand here, Queen of Hearts, Queen of Spades, 7 of Diamonds, 6 of Spades, Queen, Queen, 7, 6, single suited, and we press start, it gives us the answer either 100% or 0%. And this means that this exact hand is in poker choose first in 15 range. If we put here just Queen, Queen, 7, 6 without the suits, it tells us that it's 62% of times. So it depends on the suits. But I would prefer exact hands. Now what you can do is that you just repeat this question. There is a way to save this, but it requires a bit of trickery. So I would just show it to you this old school way. And then we put all the positions here. First in 20, first in 30, and now button is, I would say that if you're a total beginner, start with 40%. When you get better, go to up to 50. But let's be tight on the on the macros. So UTG, middle position, cutoff, and button. We could change the button to 50 if we choose so. But now the thing is that now we can come up with the hand Jack of Hearts, 8 of Diamonds, 7 of Hearts, 4 of Diamonds, and then the 8 is changed. So Jack 8, 7, 4 double suited. And the question is, what is the earliest position you would open this hand? And then you answer to yourself that, okay, I would open it from the cutoff. And then, of course, from the button, because poker choose ranges are linear. Then we press start, and it shows us that in poker choose, Jack 8, 7, 4 is not open from any position. Not even from the button. I would assume that if we put 50% on the button, it would be on the top 50% of the hands, which is right. Well, let's see what is it open on the matrix. And we select Jack 8. Jack 8, 7, 4 double suited is not open from the cutoff even on the solver. So even being double suited, somewhat connected, but there's 2 double caps. Solver doesn't like it, but it's close to threshold on cutoff. But if you don't have access to solver, you can use this one. We can see that it's fairly accurate most parts. And then you can use site like random.org. Let me just show you because this is one of the most fun and most easiest way to practice. Where did it go? So then we can go to random.org, select games and playing card software, and draw 4 cards from one deck, draw cards, boom, we have a PLO hand. Jack, Jack, 9, 8 with 3 clubs. Let's use that one. Jack of clubs, 9 of clubs, 8 of clubs, Jack of hearts. What is the earliest position we would open semi-connected, senior suited jacks with 3 clubs? And then we press start, and it shows that Jack, Jack, 9, 8 with 3 clubs is open even from UTG. That sounds a bit weird, but let's see how close we are. And Jack, Jack, 9, 8 on solver. Yeah, there's 3 suits, so it's close. It's in the threshold. So yeah, it's right. So you can use these proper tools to practice starting hands. Just open random.org, do that. Well, this is rainbow. In general, we don't want to play rainbow hands. What about ace, queen, 10, 6 suited to 10? Where would we open that? And so on. And the idea here is that, well, let's use that one. I will show you one way to practice stuff. 10 of hearts and 6 of hearts. So ace, queen, 10, 6 is open only from the button with 50% range. So now you can practice the thresholds by thinking how we need to improve the hand so it becomes open from the cutoff. And what you can do first is, let's start to increase the lowest card. What about ace, queen, then 7? Well, that does it. So ace, queen, then 6 is fold from the cutoff if it's suited to 10, 7, 10, 6. But ace, queen, then 7 isn't open, so it's in the threshold. So pretty much ace, queen, then, even with the bad suit, with double cap on the bottom, it's still open, and so on. Or if we have here, let's make it slightly better, ace, queen, then 9. So it's open from all positions. Now the question is, how do we need to weaken the hand so it's not open from UTG? And then we can explore what if we start to lower the middle cards, does that affect, and so on. Yeah, what position we are open in ace, queen, then 6, senior suited, when it's suited to 10. If it's suited to ace, it's open from all positions, probably. Now this is single suited. Ace of clubs, jack of spades, 10 of hearts, and now it's 9 of hearts. I'm just showing you how you can explore the opening ranges. So you change the hand, you change the suits, you change the cards, and so on, until you find the threshold. And when you do this long enough, you will have this feeling and understanding about where the thresholds are. Because you don't have to be precise. Remember, like here, if the threshold is here at 10, 8, 9, 8, then 7, all the hands around here, 2 or 3 boxes away from the threshold, are very close to EV0. So playing them or folding them is not a problem. So good rule of thumb for preflop is, if you are not sure if you should open or not, then it's probably very close to threshold or below that. So it's EV0 in the best case scenario. So fold it. So if you are not sure should you play the hand or not, fold it. Because all those marginal opens are very close to EV0. They just increase the variance. They don't really affect your win rate that much compared to all the other things. And of course, That's the standard opening ranges. When you have information on the opponent, you can open more or less. If you have a lot of aggressive opponents, you want to tighten up your range. If you have a lot of tight opponents, you want to open more because you have more fold equity post flop, and so on. And very often, when we open those marginal hands, they lead to marginal situations. Because if we have a strong hand, ace, queen, jack, 10 double suited, whatever we hit, it's pretty strong. And we often hit so strong that it's easy to play. When we open queen, 9, 7, 5 single suited to 9, all the things we flop are most often problematic. That's why I always say that if you are not sure if you should open the hand or not, always fold it. Pre-flop, always choose the more passive line. Folding is always EV0. Remember that. If we have a crappy hand, queen 9, 7, 5, and we're not sure if we should open it or not, folding is EV0. So unless you're sure that opening is plus EV, don't do it. All right. The thing that I wanted to do today, which I haven't done so far this month, is to see the 3-bet ranges, because poker 3-bet ranges are quite bad in my opinion. So let's see how much they actually differ. Cool Music Guy is asking, how do we battle against maniacs who raise all the marginal hands, go crazy with them? The most simple and very effective way to adjust is tighten up your range. The worst thing you can do is if someone opens 100% of hands, you start to play 70% of hands. Yeah, you have a stronger range, but when the range goes over 30%, then the chances of hitting the flop and the frequencies, it doesn't really matter if it's 40 or 70%. That's in PLO. So the best way is to tighten up your range. Play more connected, more stronger hands. Because the problem with maniacs is that they will put you or give you a lot of pressure and aggression post flop. So unless you hit strong, you're not comfortable of playing big pots. So instead of going for very thin value when we don't know if we are ahead or behind and so on, tighten up the preflop range. When you fold preflop, it's EV0. You can fold 3 orbits. I mean, if you fold 3 orbits, you just lost 4.5 BBs. Not a big deal. Then you stack him off. You win 100. You can fold 30 orbits. You lose 45 BBs. But if you stack him off on the one hand, you make it up. So tighten up your preflop range. And if he's a very maniac who 3-bets tons of hands, don't open hands that you cannot call a 3-bet. So when you open a hand, it's either that you call the 3-bet or you 4-bet. And then I would just widen up my 4-bet range to very good double suited, high rundowns, good kings, premium queens. But if you have a good preflop range versus the maniac, which means a lot of components and often good nut value or good value, high cards, high suits, high rundowns, automatically when you both hit the flop, you're the one who dominates him. So it's basically like the 3-betting game. It's all about domination. When both players hit the flop, you want to be the one who has more often higher flush draw, higher 2 pairs, higher straight draws, overcards, and so on. Because it's not a problem to get value for your good hands. And then as maniacs, don't be afraid to play for stacks. That's the thing. If there's a maniac on your table and you decide to stay on the table, you have to accept that there might be variance, because I need to play for stacks. When you hit the flop, he gives you pressure, get the money in, enjoy the variance. And don't play face up. If you always call with the draws and raise with the good hands, you're too predictable. About 3-betting. It's a bit more complicated because in poker twos we have 3-bet in position, 3-bet out of position. So maybe we should start from the small blind 3-bet. And here on Mastermind cheat sheet, small blind versus button open around 10%. And let's see, do we have a 3-bet out of position 10%? Yes. Can we? So this is 3-bet 10% out of position. And what we could do here is, where's my range explorer? We can put it up here. 3-bet 10 out of position. So this would be the small blind 3-bet versus button open. And then we just scroll down. Here's all the possible combinations. So we can see that in the bottom there's hands like 6, 5, 4, 3, 6 is all the double paired hands. 3, 3, 2, 2s. So all the double paired hands. And let's see what the poker matrix does. So it's small blind versus button. And was these all of these pairs? Yeah, these are double suited. No, there's 5, 5, 3, 3. So let's see about 5, 5, 3, 3. Single suited. No. What about 8, 8 pocket pairs with double pair? 8, 8, 6, 6. Single suited is a 3-bet. And 7, 7, 6, 6. So we can see that poker twos range has pretty much all the double paired hands, even single suited. Matrix doesn't. 8, 7, 7, 6, but 7, 7, and 5, 5 single suited is not a 3-bet. What about double suited? 7, 7, 4, 4, 7, 7, 8, 6. Let's see. Let's see what kind of double suited hands. Yeah, but let's say single suited ace jack hands. So there would be ace jack then 7 single suited, and then we make this single suited too. So ace jack then 7 is not a 3-bet even on the wide poker choose range when it's single suited to ace. Wow. Ace queen jack then is not 3-bet. What? Can this be? Can this be right? Oh, sorry. There's one too many. Oh, fuck me. Yeah, I blew it. Sorry. That's often, if you see that something doesn't look right, then check your. There was 5 suits, so now X, Y, X, Z, now it's right. So now we can start. Okay, so ace jack then 8 is a 3, but ace jack then 7 is not. So the threshold is pretty close. Uh, I'm interested in pocket kings. Does solver 3-bet anything suited kings? And it does. He 3-bets a lot of kings. So let's see what Portugal's ranges want to say about king 5-4. No. So let's see. These are all the single suited king hands. There's king 8-6, which is here, but not here. And there's king 7-5, which is here. King on the double bird and king 6-4, which is the threshold is quite close actually. So I'm a bit surprised that Poker 2's 3-betting range is so close to solver, because I had this assumption. I never done this kind of work before, so I didn't know for sure, but I had this assumption that Poker 2's 3-bet ranges are quite far from solvers. What about solver with pocket aces? Yeah, everything. So it doesn't flat with any aces. Kyyberi says that people overfold like crazy in 3-bet plots. Do you mean pre-flop or post-flop? Yeah, I like to 3-bet double pairs. Solver doesn't. And it's something, there's this ambition nickname who knows solver ranges real well, and he criticized me when I 3-bet on the stream 8855. And yeah, I know solver doesn't 3-bet, but at small stakes I have had quite a good success with 3-betting double paired hands. Because you can rep aces on the flop. Yeah, post flop people overfold. Like, they play very honestly. That's the thing. People don't make moves post flops. Good reps will make semi bluffs. But other than that, they play really honestly. Or they overplay aces. Those are the two options. Pre-flop, people don't fold. Solver folds to 3-bets quite a lot. I mean, it's really weird. Here you can see fold versus 3-bet. And from UTG, when middle position 3-bet, it folds 30%. From button, it doesn't fold much, but here, whenever the next position 3-bets in position, it folds to 30% of the hands, which is very much. It's really high. And after the solvers became accessible for small stakes players, I've seen that some reps fold to 3-bet a lot more than previously. Most players never fold to 3-bet, no matter what their hand. So in general, at small stakes, we cannot assume fold equity. But then there are a few players who fold quite many hands. But the thing is that solver knows the best. You have to remember that solver doesn't know everything. Solver knows what's the best strategy when it plays against itself. So Solver assumes that all opponents play perfect pre-flop, perfect post-flop according to Solver's strategy. And whatever stakes you're playing, in reality, it's very far from that. So Solver knows what's the EV versus itself, and then calculates the EV, and based on that decides what to do. In reality, people don't fold to that much 3-bets. You don't have that much fold equity on certain boards. You cannot make moves on certain players. They don't make moves on you. They don't bluff catch you as much as Solver thinks. So remember, Solver is not a Bible who says that this is the absolute truth that you have to follow and accept. It's a calculation of a strategy versus very defined strategy. But then when your opponents are not playing solver, you have to understand how they deviate from it and how do we adjust and deviate from the solver strategy based on what our opponents do, and that's poker. Solver is a good starting point. I mean, it's unexploitable starting point, but it's not the optimal way to play poker. Yeah, solver doesn't think. Someone, oh, I cannot see who's followed. Pussy Beaver, thank you. Closing on the 200 followers. Uh, I want to see what kind of ace high hands. Let's take this racket. Ace 8 type of hands. Solver doesn't trip with any ace 8 rundowns. Single suited. What about poker choose? No, it doesn't either. Where would be the threshold? Uh, let's see if it's double suited. Okay, now we have few hands. And here, ace 8, 6, 5. So the threshold is almost the same. And also Oracle double suited, it's ace 8, 6, 4. In PLO matrix is ace 8, 6, 5. So I'm very surprised, I have to say. I haven't been this surprised by strategy things for a long time. That poker choose ranges on these areas that we explored in 3-bet ranges is so close what solver does. And the poker choose ranges, remember, they are based on what mid-stakes players did before the solvers, a few years before any solvers came. So I'm amazed that winning mid-stakes players have naturally evolved to certain ranges that now solver agrees on based on mathematics. Yeah, and live PLO players, well, there are currently live PLO players. I know a few Finnish live players who are very good in PLO. And then I've been in casinos around the world often enough to understand that your average live player, when you talk about range, they just shake their head that all those youngsters. Yeah, live PLO is, if you understand anything about even the construction of a PLO hand, if you understand the concepts of components and nuttiness, you can make money in live games. I mean, yeah, there's too many stories about live games. Uh, what about when our 3-bet range goes tighter? Remember that pocket aces is around 2.5% of the hands, and then we add some. Or I can show you. I can show you. I can show you. For a project of mine, which is to figure out as simple basic strategy as possible for small stakes and micros, then I created a standard 3-bet in range. There it is. So this is a 3-bet range I created because, as you can see, now there's million windows. Who cares? As you can see here, uh, here is the solver-based 3-bet percentage from all the positions versus different positions. And you can see that the numbers change. And now if we have a total beginner who's just starting PLO and he's asking what to 3-bet, should I always 3-bet aces? What else should I 3-bet? Then if you tell them that, okay, on the button versus UTG you open 3.5%, but versus cutoff you open 8% of the hands or 3-bet, and you give all these numbers, he's so lost. And often when you see beginning players, their 3-bet ranges, frequencies around 3 or 4. It's all the aces, and then when they are brave enough, they actually 3-bet something else. So this is teachable to someone who understands poker, who has high-level poker thinking, understand ranges, frequencies, hand construction, range construction, and so on and so on. So this is our 3-bet range that is 5% that you can use versus anyone from any position, and it's not optimal. I don't want to see any comments on this video on YouTube that you cannot 3-bet double paired versus UTG open. Well, you can. You can do whatever you want. It just not might be profitable. So this is a compromise. Something that is very easy to follow, that even a total beginner can start to use it. And it's compromised to be suitable on most situations. And I thought about this for a bit when I created that, and how precise I want to be. And I wanted it to be very simple, that people can memorize without having to print it to their wall. And I would say if someone 4-bets you on micros, then 95% of times it's aces. So I would say that if someone 3-bets you, 4-bets you, then we would fold probably some ace high rundowns if it's not double suited. But all of the others you can just call or shove. Ace king king I would probably just shove because we have the ace blocker. But you don't get those 4-bets outside aces that often. If the opponent's 4-bet range is wider, he's camping, then we shove aces, kings, and queens, aces and kings, and with the rest we just want to see the flop and hit it and then get money. But this is 5% range, and it's not solver range, but it's usable, and you don't go very far away. It's pretty strong range. It's easy to widen. If you want to widen, then we just widen 9 plus to 8 plus on the rundowns and so on. But what solver does is, let's say button versus cutoff. How much it 3-bets, and let's take some of those queen 9 racket hands. So we can see that there's queen 9 6 5 double suited, which is a 3-bet on the solver, button versus cutoff. And if we want to use the cheat sheet, then button versus cutoff is 8%, so it's close to the 10. Let's see if we have that 8% in poker choose. I cannot remember. Yes, and then in position. And then we put here queen 9 6 5. No. Queen 9 8 7 double suited. Well, that is queen 9 7 6. No. So I have to say that if cutoff opens and I'm on the button with queen 9 6 5 double suited, I wouldn't want to 3-bet it because it doesn't fit into my idea of what we want to achieve by 3-betting. And Queen 965 is so disconnected, and it has low cards. The other suit is only 9 high. It faced domination issues post flop, but remember, solver can play perfect post flop. In reality, we often can't, but neither is the opponent, so it evens out a bit. So I wouldn't advise to 3-bet Queen 965 double suited. That sounds weird. What about some Queen 9 single suited? Is there any? No. Queen then 9-8 single suited. Let's see what Poker Choose thinks. Whoops, that's different. Queen then 9-8, and then we change one of the suits away. Yeah, Queen then 9-8 single suited is Queen then 9-7. No. So the threshold is exactly the same, which is very surprising. Now, the paranoia part of me thinks that has Poker Choose changed its ranges? I probably have to ask, because these 3-bet ranges are so close to the solver ones that when I remember when solvers came, I had this thought that they are very far away, but they are actually really close, which is good news actually. Because I've been thinking that in Poker Choose, when opening 3-bets, we cannot use Poker Choose 3-bet ranges because they are so far away what people actually 3-bet because they follow solver strategies. But it's nice to know that they are actually very close to each other. Wow, I'm I'm surprised. I stand corrected, so to speak. But that's the thing with PLO Matrix. I like this user interface. The grids, it's easy to check the thresholds, and what you can see is you can see that button versus cutoff 9-8 is a raise. When it's not suited to the queen, it's a call. You can easily see what hands we call, what hands we raise, what hands we open and call a 3-bet, what hands we open fold, what hands we open re-raise. You can see all of those by just looking at the grid, which is really nice. With Oracle and Poker Choose, you have to explore it yourself, which is a bit more time consuming. And at Matrix, you can select 3 different rate environments: micros, small stakes or high stakes, micros, mid stakes or high stakes. And I chose the micros here, so where the rate is high. So the micros ranges are quite similar to Poker Choose ranges, which is good news. About Poker Choose, this is not even a paid advertise. They have Poker Choose 2 under construction. I haven't seen it yet. I might have a chance to take a sneak peek at some point. Very, very eager to see what they come up with. And cool music, I asked some time ago that are there any casinos in Finland? Yes, we have. We have one casino. Second one is under construction, and then we have smaller game rooms. But all of those are under the state monopoly or the nationwide monopoly. So when we play live games, they are not at casino in here. And quite often, when you go into the only casino in Finland and the PLO table, uh, I would say that it's probably quite tough PLO table compared to the rest of the world because we have so many good high stakes PLO players in Finland over the years. That's why we have a lot of PLO players in Finland, and an average PLO player from Finland is pretty good. Like if you play even on small stakes, 25, PLO 50, and you see a Finnish player, then there's a high chance that he's a good player compared to some other nationalities. I'm not going to say any of those. Someone might get upset, but there are some nationalities where your first impression is that, okay, this is a good customer. And the rate is not insane. In Finnish casino, the rate is actually lower than on some casinos over the world. But if you want to go to casino anywhere in the world, you should definitely check the rate because on some casinos it's capped, and on I know there are some casinos that the rate is uncapped. So they have 5% uncapped rate, which kind of sucks when you go to play slightly higher stakes. Yeah, there's a lot of casinos or playing sites on Russia, but the thing is that I don't know how to say it. I would try to say it nicely. Russia is one of those countries that I'm not very fan to go to. I'm not a fan of going to Russia. Like Sweden or Estonia, it's easy to go. They are neighbors, like Russia. But you can just go there. You don't need any papers. You just hop onto the boat, ride for 2 hours, and you are there. But in Russian, it's a bit harder. And if you get into problems in Russia, it's harder to come back. And honestly, I don't trust Russian police. So if I get into the problems while in Russia, I cannot trust that the police has my back, which happens in the Western countries, even in Estonia. I mean, there's some time ago when I went to Russia for the sports competition, we checked there was this official book about how to travel in Russia, travel book, and it said that if you have problems, try not to call the police as long as possible. Because if the police comes, you're in the problems. But yeah, there's casinos on Estonia. A lot of Finnish players go there, and I thought about there's this cash game festival happening every now and then where they live stream tables, and the next one on Estonia is on December. So I thought about I could build up the bankroll during the winter and then go there and uh, lose my bankroll on TV table. Bushy Beaver, the stream or this video is going to be uploaded to YouTube later today. So it's accessible on Twitch for a few days, but it's on my YouTube channel. Just put Kyyberi on the YouTube search and you will get the channel. This will be there. That's the reason why I did this stream, because I wanted to do this video, and while streaming it, it's easy to record and have the stream at the same time. I've been in a casino in Prague. I played a PLO tournament and won it. And then I've been in London, in Eindhoven. Have I been elsewhere? Not sure. Can't remember. And of course in Estonia and Finland. But I hate live games. It's so. I mean, whenever I sit and play live, and even in Hold'em, it takes 5 to 10 minutes per hand. And there I sit, and if you get like streak of 20 hands of garbage cards, that means 2 hours. So you sit there 2 hours folding your hand pre-flop. And then I wonder that online I could have played 2,000 hands in these 2 hours. Why the hell am I sitting here? So live games are fun if you have a good table like with friends. You take beer, you have fun, you play live with friends. It's different. Even if you don't get playable hands, you can have fun. But then you go to the casino and you have those 5 youngsters with hoodies and mirror glasses. Well, not mirror glasses, that would be stupid, but sunglasses. And then the hood is very tight in their head. They have the iPod on their ears. And then you watch those guys for 2 hours. You try to speak to them, they don't say anything. So life is fun if the playing itself is not the main purpose. That's my opinion. I could never be a live pro. I mean, dude, in PLO you can 10 hands, 5 to 10 hands per hour. So what if you have a downswing of 10,000 hands? That's 3 years. So, ugh. But if the table is good, there's action, people are talking, discussing, then it can be fun. Um, One more thing, if you haven't noticed, just heard it yesterday, and Run It Once Poker, there's a new deposit bonus for all the players. So if you missed the first one, or you cleared it, or you were stupid like me and deposited it only €100 with the first deposit, now there's another up to 600. So you can deposit 600, you will get constant bonus up to 600, and you have to pay one hand per month to keep it going. So it's not like you have to clear it in 1 month. You can use the rest of your life to clear that bonus, which means that depositing anything less than 600 would be just be stupid. Normally, if you have that clearance, like on party poker, if I have a bonus, then you have 30 days to clear it. So then it might be good to sort of estimate how much I'm going to play, how much I'm going to raise. So what would be the good sizing that is achievable? Because I've lost so many bonuses in my life that I deposited 300, which means that I have to raise often 1.5 thousand to clear the bonus, and then I cannot raise that, and the bonus is lost if it's released in one part. So I lost a lot of good money by depositing too much in normal bonuses, but run it once, play one hand in 30 days, and the bonus is there, so you can clear it for as long as you want. So definitely should try that. And the thing is that if you don't have the money to deposit, you can cash out and then redeposit. And I asked them that, is that really okay that you can cash out 600, deposit it, and get the bonus? They said that it's fine. So that's awesome. Or you can deposit 600, get the bonus, and cash out the 600. So borrow 600 from your friend for a day, and you will get the bonus. All right. Uh, I don't have any more pre-flop because what I've seen, everything we did, poker choose ranges were very close to solver ranges. So I would assume that on most parts, if you follow poker choose ranges, you're not doing anything wrong. So it's a free to practice. It's not preventing you from making money. But then, if you have access to PLO Matrix, this is quite easy to use. And very often these interface programs like PLO Matrix or PokerChoose itself. PokerChoose is just a user interface towards Oracle. PokerChoose cannot do anything that Oracle couldn't do. So they are just there to save your time. With PokerChoose, you can make calculation in 2 minutes that with Oracle would take 1 hour. Or PLO Matrix, if you get all of those lists, you have probably seen from Chain Andes or from somewhere else, or Pokemon or Microsoft, sorry, the list of the hands, what to do and so on. So it's a bit complicated. With PLO Matrix, a couple of clicks and you can see the thresholds and ranges, and it saves time a lot. So I really like Matrix. So if you practice pre-flop, I would say then either Matrix, or if you don't have the budget, then Oracle, import the PokerChoose ranges, and then do what I showed you. I would say that if you make a bot that uses solver preflop ranges, is not going to make money because you have to go to the post-flop, and that's the harder part. Pre-flop is easy. I mean, anyone can learn pre-flop. It doesn't take long. But the post-flop is a bit problem. And in PLO, coding the bot is a lot harder because in Hold'em we can have a simplified strategy that makes money at certain stages. Like we can say that if you flop 2 pairs, you bet, bet, bet. If you flop this, you bet, bet, check. If you get this, you call once on the turn. You need to improve to this so you can bet. So you can make these really rough guidelines that are quite easy to follow. And versus general population, they make money. In PLO, it's way more complicated because you cannot say that when you flop 2 pairs, you bet, bet, bet. I mean, if we categorize 2 pairs on the flop, then we would have like 10 different types of 2 pairs. We have different kinds of flops. We have was it 12? I can't remember. And now I can't think much. But there's around 12 different kinds of flops in PLO or in poker. But in PLO, it's important what kind of flop we have. So if we have 12 different flops, and then on each flop, we have top 2 pairs, bottom 2 pairs, top and bottom 2 pairs. And then we have 2 pairs with draws and 2 pairs without the draws. 2 pairs with overcards, 2 pairs without overcards. So when we combine all of those, we suddenly have 50 different situations with 2 pairs on the flop. So you cannot say that always bet 2 pairs. You cannot say always bet top 2 pairs. You could say that always bet top 2 pairs on certain boards. Always bet top 2 pairs with additional equity on certain boards. And suddenly the easy to follow strategy becomes a bit more complicated because then you do in Hold'em you have 1 line, in PLO you have 15 lines. So in Hold'em you can make 15 different post-flop guidelines and it's easy to follow. Then you go to PLO and that's going to be 125 rough guidelines. So that's the thing, that in PLO it's a lot harder to learn a simple strategy to follow. So I'm not worried about bots itself on PLO. I'm worried about collusion bots. And that's where things start to suck on PLO, but that's a different story. Anyway, thanks. And for Bussy Beaver, tell your friend to watch the YouTube. I will start to upload it right after this one, so it takes probably an hour or so, and it's there. And I will be doing a live session later today and run it once and Party Poker. It will be the last stream on the June because then I will be away from the rest of the month. So if you want to see live games, having fun with the chatbot and everything, tune in at around 10 p.m. or so. 9 or 10 p.m. probably. I will get home at 8 p.m. So it might go up to 10 p.m. if I'm estimating things correctly. 10 p.m. CEST, which would be 11 p.m. Finnish time. But just follow the channel, and if you have notifications on, you're going to get an email. Sometimes it goes to trash can or spam folder. So the best way is to follow me on the Twitter. You will get a notification, or then on the Discord, if you are on the Run It Once channel, there's a streamer room. I will post there. Kiitos, kiitos. Or you can just hang out on the Twitch and you will see when it's online. But even if you miss it, most of the sessions are on YouTube unless it's really bad session. All right, thanks, bye-bye. I'm going to eat, and I will see some of you later tonight for the last stream of the June.